Hey, Brian here with Worship Tutorials. I get asked all the time, what in the heck is in your ears in all these guitar, like song videos that I do? To answer your question, the things that are in my ears are in this little box, and these are molded in-ear monitors. So I'll show them to you in just a little bit, but I'll tell you a little bit about in-ear monitors first. So first of all, you have to think about monitoring, and monitoring is just a way that you can hear yourself back. The easiest way you can hear yourself is just by listening to your voice in the room. And if you're playing a guitar, you can hear the guitar if it's acoustic, especially. That's sort of a form of monitoring. Now, if you're playing in a band, in a church, or any kind of a band setting, you're probably going to need some way to monitor where you amplify everybody's sound so you can hear it. Traditionally, you use speakers on the floor. You would call those wedges. That's what we always call them. And so I played monitoring through wedges a lot. Even if it was just me, because you can put a little bit of EQ on your voice, maybe a little bit of reverb, and it sounds nice. But there's sound coming from a speaker pointed at you, and the microphone is pointed away from the speaker. If you'd point it to the speaker, you can get a lot of feedback. So a lot of churches and bands these days use what's called in-ear monitoring. And all that is instead of a speaker on the floor, what the stuff that you hear comes in through some headphones. And it takes a little bit more to do in-ear monitoring as far as equipment, but it's really not that expensive. I should probably do a post someday soon about how to do in-ear monitoring on the cheap. Because you don't have to do all the wireless stuff. All you really need is a headphone amp. And you can run your signal from the board, what you would typically run to a monitor, to a headphone amp, and then you can just have a long cable and plug your headphones into the cable and listen to them. And that's what I did for years in a small church environment. I didn't have wireless, so I just had a cable running down, and I used headphones. And for the longest time, I used some headphones by Shure, the SE. I think they were the 110s for a while, and then they upgraded those to the 215s. They're about $100, and they sound pretty good. They are single drivers. Now, this is important when it comes to in-ears. I used that for a long time, and they served me well. Eventually I started wanting to do some more sort of precision monitoring, mostly so for me to do all the recording stuff I do. You know, you need to be able to hear everything in a mix, and so I looked for some options that allowed better monitoring. And like anything, the more drivers that you have inside your headphones, the better it's going to be. So the monitors that I use now are formerly 1964 ears. I think they have changed their company name to 1964 Audio. But they're custom molded in-ears. So I'll show them to you. They look like this. Now, if you watch American Idol or The Voice or anything like that, or if you watch bands on YouTube, just touring musicians and stuff, you might notice in people's ears they have these headphones that look funny. They look like this. So they have like a long piece that goes what looks like way the heck into your ear, and then if you would wear them, I'll show you right now, it looks flush. So you can see that like it kind of covers all of the cavity of my ear. The other side does as well. Now this is odd because I can't hear anything. It's like inside my head. But yeah, so these things, what you do is you go to an audiologist, and they take molds of the insides of your ears. So I went to a place that 1964, sort of endorsed in my area, and they stick a string down in your ear, and then they fill it up with like this foam stuff, and you have to sit there and wait until the gel or the foam kind of hardens, and then they pull it out, and then you have a mold of the inside of your ear. You send that to 1964 Audio or any number of companies that make molded in-ear monitors, and they make these custom molded just to your ears. So nobody can borrow these from me because they won't fit really anybody else's ears but mine. And I chose the V6 stage model. So most of these companies have a range of products you can buy, and it depends on how many drivers are in the ear monitor. So these have 6 drivers inside of them, and I sort of have a black translucent translucent casing, and so you can actually kind of see them. But basically how it works is the low frequencies are handled by 2 of the drivers, the mid-range frequencies are handled by 2 of the drivers, and the high frequencies are handled by 2 of the drivers. And so, you know, you can get, a lot of people get triples, and so how those work is 1 for each. You know, 1 driver for each of those frequency ranges. A lot of people like to get quads because you get an extra driver for the low end, so you hear a lot more bass. But I wanted something that was really balanced, so I emailed them and I asked them, you know, I'm a worship leader, I'm a guitar player, I sing, I also do a lot of production stuff, so I really want something that is very natural, that will give me a very accurate representation of what is happening. And they suggested the V6 or the V3. And so the V3 is kind of like a half version of the V6 as far as drivers go. 1 driver for each of the spectrums. But I will say this, now these molded in-ears, they're not cheap. You pay for them. Some companies are a little cheaper than others, but when I upgraded from my Shure SE215s, which are great monitors, to these 1964 ears V6 stage, it was night and day. I could hear things that I'd never heard before. And the other thing is with these is they isolate. So when you put them in your ears, because they're molded to your ears, I can't remember what the rating is, but it's a massive decibel reduction as far as like you just can't hear anything. So, which brings me to my next point of why you use in-ears is for bands or churches or whatever that use click tracks. And so all a click track is you hear a metronome in your head. So it's like, you know, for lack of a better sound. It's just a click that you hear and it keeps time. And we go so far as to have audio cues in it. So you would hear 1, 2, 3, 4, intro, 2, 3, 4. And then when you get to the verse, it's verse 2, 3, 4, which is great because everybody goes to the same place at exactly the same time. It locks you into an arrangement though, so you can't do an extra chorus in the middle, but you can certainly add things on at the end if you'd like. That's a discussion for another day. But if you have these molded in-ears, there's less bleed. So in other words, you've probably sat by somebody on a bus or a train or a plane or something, and they had their headphones in. This is especially bad with Apple headphones, and it was like those things were speakers, and you could hear what they were listening to, just like loud and clear, sitting next to them. With these, I can literally be right next to somebody in an extremely quiet environment, and I can crank these things and you cannot hear them, which is also good because if you like to listen to a loud click track, and you're a vocalist right by a microphone, you're not gonna hear that click. If you use other kinds of headphones, you probably will hear that click if it's turned up loud enough. And that's not what you want to be going through your sound system, is a click track when you're leading worship or playing. The other thing that advantage of having these, especially if you're a worship leader or if you're a music director, maybe in your band, or you're the one in charge of arranging things, or you know, making sure everybody plays what they're supposed to be playing, is you can hear things with these kinds of headphones so much better than with most any other kind of headphones. So you can definitely pick out things that you wouldn't have heard before. Like you know, for an example, if you're in a worship setting and you've got a keyboard player, and you maybe have never been able to hear what they're playing sometimes, you could try something like these out and you probably will be able to hear it or pick it out a little better. And you can hear all the little nuances that's happening. It sort of opens your mind to a whole new world of what's going on musically that you couldn't hear before. So that is a long answer, which didn't need to be so long, but I kind of went into some of the ideas behind using in-ear monitors. I use the 1964 ears, which is now 1964 audio, V6 stage. They are molded in-ear monitors. I love them. If you have some budget for some nice in-ears or some nice headphones, definitely check them out. I highly recommend them. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you have a question, ask it below. If you like this video, go ahead and like the video on YouTube. And please do subscribe, as I put lots of videos out so you can keep up with what is going on at Worship Tutorials. See you next time. Bye.